Hi, we're here to have a chat about Imperial Assault by Fantasy Flight Games.
We are.
Because we've played it.
We've played it quite a lot.
Extensively.
We've probably put more hours into this than any other game that we've looked at for the site.
And there's a very good reason for that.
It's a monster. And we just look at the box. Look how big it is. Look at that.
It's pretty...
I have to carry this around to places.
That's my hand for reference. That's a hand's worth.
It's a big deal taking this anywhere.
Which I haven't stopped hearing about.
Well, I mean, if we could just play in the same place, it'd be a lot easier. Anyway, so the game's for 2 to 5 players. As Andy mentioned, it's Fantasy Flight.
So you know there's a high product quality to it.
And it's got 2 main modes that you play it in. There's a campaign mode and there's a skirmish mode.
Yeah.
Most of what we're going to talk about today is going to be about the campaign mode because that's where we spent most of the time. We will touch on the skirmish mode. If you played Descent, it's a very, very similar kind of idea.
It's Star Wars Descent.
Yeah.
I think... Like, someone might complain that we're cheapening it, but it's basically, it's Star Wars Descent.
Which is no, that's not intended as like, it's just Star Wars Descent.
No, because Star Wars is a much better theme than Descent.
Well, you're not a big fan of Descent, are you?
It's okay.
Yeah, which is fine.
And middle of the ground.
And without wanting to kind of spoil, is this okay?
This is better than okay.
It's better than okay. That's it. That's a wrap.
We've done our talking. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So one player is the if you've not played Descent, one player is sort of the dungeon master. He or she controls the enemies, the dreaded Imperial Empire, and the other players each take a player character, a hero, and they have to complete campaigns. Complete missions in the campaign. The game comes with 30 missions in total-ish, but in one campaign you only play about 12, so there's some replayability in there. You've got items you can equip, you've got skills you can earn, so each character won't be the same. It's not just like, you get this. You can choose this, you can choose that.
Yeah.
So there's a bit different.
And that's, sorry, just to jump in there, that's the same if you're playing as the Imperial player. So throughout the campaign, I was the Imperial player, and Andy and 2 of our good friends, Tom Ryan, who was our DM when we were playing.
Our resident artist. And
obviously Jimmy from Loading, Drink Relax Play, were the 3 heroes. And I was the Imperial player, so the Imperial player gets not quite as many kind of upgrades to choose from, but
Loads.
You start off with choosing which kind of almost faction you want to go with, and that gives you different upgrades as the game goes on, and then so there's plenty of customization on all fronts before you get into, well, you're not going to be playing the same missions each time.
Each mission lasts about half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they start off small and they sort of grow as you sort of get used to the game mechanics. And they're all they're brilliant. The tiles are fantastic in the box. I mean, they really feel like different locations because they're all double-sided. See, sometimes you're playing on Imperial ship, sometimes you're in the forest. I think that's mostly, there's inside and outside. Which both look fantastic. But it feels like it.
There's a little more to that. Like there's inside, outside jungle. So there's within the inside and outside. There's like inside spaceship. And inside.
Yeah. But to sum it up, like you don't. It feels like there's an inside and outside if you've got both in one map. That's what I'm saying. So like, if you're entering into a room from the outside, it really does show that.
Yeah. Should we crack the box?
Yeah, let's give it a go. I think we've got some expansions in here, but we'll talk about them later. There's also, spoilers, FFG Valley.
Of course. How could we go with that? So what are we going to know? We've got a skirmish guide, campaign guide, learn to play, my little campaign log,
campaign sheet,
rules reference, more stuff. We should say
teaser.
This version of the the game came with Luke and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Whether or not that will be included in later versions, who knows?
I think it will be, but there is something I would like to point out. It's sort of Hero of the Rebellion Luke is what it's called, so it's not Jedi Luke. So that's something. I think that's worth mentioning. Completely.
Yeah. So we've got
Tiles.
just so many tiles. Look at all these.
Tiles.
Just tiles. And that's some expansion stuff. That's all the character cards.
Character cards. Let me
Expansion stuff.
take that. I'll quickly talk about the character cards.
Yeah, go for it.
They're pretty cool. They've got on one side they've got your fully healed hero. It's got all your information. It's got your abilities. But if you go down to 0 hit points, then you just flip it over, and you've got this. It's sort of the same, but a slightly weaker version. So it gives you sort of double your hit points to complete the missions, because you will need it, because the Empire has a lot of enemies to throw at you, like a lot.
It does.
Of combatants.
And we should just stress at this point whilst you're mentioning that. So the game is designed to have 4 heroes.
Yep.
So one DM, or however you want to call it, playing the Imperials, and 4 different heroes. The way it gets around it, if you don't have enough heroes, is that you essentially play one hero twice every turn, and you also get a bonus to the amount of health you get. So I think there's heroic and legendary. So if you're playing with
3, it's heroic, and 2, it's legendary.
Yes, and if you can play 1v1, I think, but then
you just play 2 heroes.
Yeah,
and they both be legendary.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, a smart way of dealing with it.
And so many tiles.
I mean,
another tile gone. Saved it.
What else we got?
Tokens.
Stuff.
Do we get tokens? So the box is fully packed. And it's about, how much is it? It's about
70 quid.
70 quid, which seems quite an investment, but we've played 3 or 4 times just for the campaign mode, and that's given us a good
3 or 4 times
12 to 15 hours worth of gameplay.
Yeah.
So for like £70 divided by 4 divided by 15 is some maths that you could do at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're going to be playing with this with the same group, I definitely kind of all pitch in to buy it. Well, immediately then, like, let's say you're playing with 5 people, so £70 is £14 each.
Yeah.
Which is well and truly worth it.
Yeah.
Especially, like you say, if we play this for 14 hours, it's £1 an hour each, which isn't
too bad. And that's not even taking into consideration the skirmish mode, which we'll talk about later.
So what else have we got in here? We have all the figures,
the models, the beautiful models,
which I think is where the majority of your money goes, really.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's
fine. It's all good. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, let's get rid of this for a minute. Do you want me to take that? Well, I was just going to put it.
You try in here. You try now.
So yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about this bad boy, which is the enemy of the box. It's the biggest, the baddest, the scariest one. It's an AT-ST, and it is amazing when it finally pops out into the mission, and you're like, well, we didn't want to win this mission anyway. It's super powerful, and it's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, all of the models are incredibly well detailed. They've done a really, really nice job. There's a ton of fantastic kind of painting tutorials on YouTube that really help to bring out the detail that's there.
Okay.
But straight off the bat, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
they're really well done. I mean, yes, they should be for £70, but I think they've done a good enough job to help kind of justify that expense.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job. There's definitely, to my mind, £70 worth of, especially if you compare it to Games Workshop, which I know people don't like talking. Well,
Games Workshop's expensive.
It's expensive, isn't it?
As somebody that's spent far more money than I'd like to admit, Games Workshop over the years, it's a lot of money. Your money does for £70. To be fair, they've actually started doing a lot of starter kits and stuff now that you can get a good amount of models for £70. But for this, like £70 to get everything that you need to play the core game, I think that's fine.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit more about a mission. While you sort of just tidy those
around a bit.
So a mission will begin with the DM, the GM, whatever you want to call it, the evil player, not that you're evil, mate, setting up the map and letting you know where you can set your heroes, which is normally in a corner. They'll pull up any terminal tokens down, and then they'll read you a bit of spiel from not the rules reference guides.
Yeah.
From the we buried troops.
There it is, campaign guides.
From the campaign guides. So it's really quite neat how they've done it. I'll just show you the first one, but like from far out. Basically, you've got your mission briefing, which you talk about, and then it's just some special rules maybe, and there's parts that go on. So if they get to this bit, you read that bit, the next bit out, and then there's the end of mission where you get to say, the story changes if you win or you lose, because the heroes can lose. Like the evil player is out to win. It's not as in a role-playing game where the DM is just progressing the story. It's a one versus many game. So then you sort of just set up with an objective to complete, and it is a rush. It's difficult. It's a difficult mission for everyone. But as the mission progresses, would you say it gets easier for the GM? Because you get this little thing.
Yeah, so every round, depending on how far you are in the campaign, at the end of every round, you kind of resolve everything, and the threat goes up. So on one of these, you basically just got a round counter, which I think is the green one, and then the orange one is the threat level. So to start off with, I think that goes up about 2 every round, and then that scales right the way up as the missions go on to 6 at the end of every round. And what you do with those is you can buy more troops,
buy reinforcements.
So at the start of every mission, it'll say how many troops that start on the map, what cards to keep in reserve, and then open groups. So with open groups, you can have any of the kind of baddie cards, for whatever the better phrase, and they all have their own cost. So yeah, if we just pull some out there, that's not them. Oh yeah, I got one. No, that's Chewbacca. Don't bring out Chewbacca. Don't do that. But
I'll tell you what I've done. Oh, was that? Yeah.
Yeah. So what you did was skip past all the cards. So like we have, let's say, the Trandoshan hunters, Trandoshan even. So Trandoshans cost 7.
Yep.
For the end of the round, I had 7 threat. Then I could spend that 7 threat to put a group of Trandoshan hunters, which is 2 Trandoshans, onto the board in a specific reinforcement spot that is denoted in the campaign guide. You can also so there's 2 numbers on the top of the card. There's the value to bring it in and the value to reinforce. So if one of the 2 guys died, I could reinforce the group by paying 3 threat and putting a new one on the board.
Which you didn't do too much during our campaign, our assault.
I did a fair amount, not quite as much as I perhaps should have done. I think.
From my mind, you just brought in fresh.
Oh, sorry. I didn't do too much reinforcing then.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time,
the cost benefit and.
Yeah. So most of the time, if you're just replacing one troop, it works out quite a bit more expensive than bringing a whole new group on. And once the group dies, the card comes off the table and back into your hand. So a lot of the time, it made sense for me to just wait for you to wipe those guys out and then pay 6 rather than 7 or 8,
okay.
And bring the whole team back.
Makes sense.
that's going to depend on how you like to play the game, and I think perhaps there was a few times when I should have just reinforced.
I mean, you won more than you lost, I think. So I think that's fine.
I did, but I think that was largely your guys messing up rather than me doing well.
Wow. Thought we weren't going to argue in this video.
I'm not arguing, I'm telling you what happened. So the way that the game works is, like Andy mentioned, you are playing to win. Both sides are playing to destroy the other side. Except they shouldn't really be playing to destroy the other side. You have objectives to complete, and actually the best thing to do is find the fastest way to get to those objectives. And the best thing for the opposing player to do is to stop that from happening. It's not, the campaign isn't a skirmish mode, and I think in the early game, that's how we were playing it.
Yeah.
Which I think is why you failed. So, I mean,
yeah, failed's a strong word. I think lost might have been.
There was a string of about five missions that you lost.
Yep.
And that was largely due to being like, well, we'll just kill Richard rather than progress and do what we need to do.
Yeah, but then it's sort of difficult, and it's probably my one bugbear with the game is that it is literally a race to the finish, whereas tactically you think, oh, maybe if I just kill a few enemies first, get them out of the way, then I can sort of progress, and it'll be easier to progress in the objective. And I think, I mean, I guess because we're the underdogs, there's not as many of us, we do need to just guerrilla tactics at hit and run. And I think that's what the game is trying to emulate. But for me, I found that a tiny bit annoying because that's not my mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I wasn't enjoying it at times, even though I do overall like the game.
Yeah, which I think is a fair criticism. Again, that's going to all depend on how well the Imperial player's doing. Because if the Imperial player is perhaps more strategically minded than I was, they might be able to better deal with you rushing to the finish line.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem was I quite like killing you guys, and to be fair, a lot of the end results for the Imperial player was to wipe out the.
So it's sort of a race to the finish for us, and sort of a block the line for you guys. But actually, that's far too simplified for all it is, because the missions are they are different. There is
a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, there are a lot of different challenges, and it is like a fresh. It's not sort of like. It's not. You don't just set up and go, right, this is just going to play out the same way. They do play out very differently, and it is quite exciting every time a new map is constructed. You're like, okay, where do we think we're going? What do we think we need to do before you read out what was happening?
Yeah, I mean, one thing on putting the maps together, we mentioned there's so many tiles, and we mentioned that, of course, this features the famous FFG Valley.
Yep.
My one problem with this game is that the tiles take so long to sort through and make a map. Which isn't that big a deal. But actually, when we're sitting down and playing a 4-hour stretch, if it takes an hour of that 4-hour stretch for me to put together the different maps, that's a problem.
Yeah, but I felt like you sped up as soon as you sort of, the first one took 10 minutes, the second one took 5 minutes.
It is something that you get faster at, but it's something that it does slow down your gameplay. So if you've got somebody that's a little bit, perhaps not quite as interested as everybody else, that time is going to be enough for that person to completely lose interest.
Yep.
One thing that I've already started doing is scanning all of these tiles and making maps that I can print out so that I don't have that problem. And that's going to make life a lot easier for me, but obviously isn't something that everybody would be able to do.
Or enjoy, because, I don't know, it's quite nice, thick
tiles. It is. I mean, the tiles are really nicely done. I mean, it's an FFG game. Every component in this game is well done. From the tracker with its really nice solid wheels. If you've played X-Wing or Armada, similar kind of construction to those. All of the tokens are really nicely done. There's a bunch of custom dice in there.
Yeah, like FFG are basically doing for I think a lot of the Star Wars games now, is that each dice is different. So maybe your character rolls a blue and a yellow to attack, and that's got more surges or more range. But my character has the red dice, which have stronger damage. You know, it really mixes it up, and it's bright and colourful. And I think they're pretty cool.
And easily distinguishable.
Yeah, as well.
So you're never going to get to a situation it's like, oh, I'm not quite sure what I need to roll. It's right there for you.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find a token so you can make your next point, which I know you want to talk about. But I'm struggling to find the people.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, let's use this. Let's use General Vice.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
At certain points in the main mission, you'll get that there will be a character mentioned.
Yep.
That's going to come in. Great. Han Solo's going to be in this mission. Except Han Solo's not really in this mission. What you get instead is a little... This isn't Han Solo, but a little circle. Which is, the same size as the bases as the models. But it's because Han Solo doesn't come in the box. You buy him separately as a little expansion for 10 quid. And yes, obviously, they know that expansions will sell, and actually expansions are really good. They bring a lot more with them. Each one has new side missions, new cards that you can use to play with, and new skirmish missions as well. So they do bring a lot in. You get a fair amount for the money that you're spending.
Yep.
But it's just a little annoyance when you have all of these beautiful figures and then just little discs on the board that don't really need to be there. I get that people enjoy, it's Han Solo, great, but he doesn't need to be in the main missions necessarily. I mean, I think the mission we shouldn't spoil it.
I don't think we need to explain specifics, but
it's not a big deal, but it's just a little bugbear for me.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, not to throw a wrench into this, but I was fine with that. I understand you get so many models already. You get the ATST, which I'm pretty happy about. So I think it's fair that you don't have all the models, because at least they've put a token in. But yeah, I mean, I guess, maybe these characters don't have to be in it. It can just be an unnamed character. I don't even know if we've got any good guys here.
Well, I mean, it could have even been
just like
one of the figures that you're not playing with.
Yeah.
Because there are, 6? Yep. 7 different heroes to choose from. Oh no, 6 in that movie.
Could have been
so it could have been one of the models that you're not using. Again, not a huge deal, but just a little annoying.
Yeah.
I think similarly, there's a mission where IG-88 turns up, another expansion. Like, come on, it could have been.
It happens a couple of times, so it's just something to point out if that doesn't annoy. Let's talk about skirmish mode.
Do we have to?
Yeah, like it's an interesting add-on, and I say add-on because I think you're going to be buying this game for the campaign mode.
If you're buying this for the skirmish mode, I think you're doing it wrong.
I think that's unfair to say, because people might enjoy the skirmish mode.
Okay.
But to us, it felt like the campaign mode was the main focus, which we loved, and skirmish mode was just a nice thing that came about, because you've got so many tiles you can construct these different maps, and you've got so many models already that you can field them. But I don't know if you notice in the box that you get, there's a lot of Imperials. And there's 7 rebels. So when you play the skirmish mode, you just be like, well, I'm gonna play 3 stormtroopers and 3 more stormtroopers and 3 more stormtroopers, and we're just gonna flood you. And while the heroes are much stronger than like 1-on-1, the hero's gonna win. But it's with 3 stormtroopers against 1 hero. That's 3 attacks for the Imperial player versus the 1 attack.
And the heroes are a lot weaker than they are in the campaign as well. So they're using these cards as opposed to the big campaign cards.
No, but I still think these are quite... I mean, that's Chewie, so that's also...
So I think the example I'd like to use is Jyn.
Oh yeah, so she's obviously
got like 6 health. If you want to play this skirmish mode, you need to buy the expansions.
You need to buy the expansions, definitely.
Because, I mean, if you're buying it for the skirmish mode, then yeah, you're going to buy the expansions because you're going to want more.
There's quite a few already, and I think the skirmish mode's really going to flourish when you can get more rebel troops.
You're going to want to have an equal number of troops on the board, I think.
Yeah.
That's how that sort of game generally works.
Yeah. But, like we said, I think each expansion is like £12. They're $15, like around that.
They're kind of reasonable.
Yeah, you get one figure, and you may think, well, why am I doing that? But sorry, you get one figure for a character, and then like a squad for the squads, which is normally between 3 and 5. So you think maybe that's a bit overpriced, but they do come with their own missions, or side missions that you can slip into the campaign, and there are new skirmish missions which you can use to test against each other. So I think there's definitely, like I said earlier, I think there's reason to buy them.
And you can bring those along with you on the campaign as well. So if you buy some rebel troops, those rebel troops can be brought along with the core characters. And the way that works is essentially the Imperial player just gets a ton of threat at the start of the game to balance it out.
Yeah.
Right, so one more thing I just want to kind of touch on, because this game is so big that with something this size you might kind of see it and be a bit overwhelmed and not really know where to start.
Yep.
Is the rule books. I mean, like we said, FFG generally does a really good job with this sort of thing.
Yep.
But I'm really impressed with how they dealt with this thing.
Okay.
So like we mentioned, you get 4 different books.
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
A little overwhelming when you first open it.
Again, a little overwhelming. But what it does is very nicely say, read this first. So that's your learn to play. Most of the rules for the campaign carry across to the skirmish mode, and kind of vice versa in the kind of turn-by-turn play, but it goes through, breaks down exactly what everything is on the first few pages, tells you how to assemble the ATST, which I will say is an absolute difficult thing. Largely, all the joints are quite tight, and this is an absolute devil to get in. The kind of gun turret at the front, it's quite cool because it moves. What I would do if you're not bothered about getting it moving is take a knife and just shave off one side of the pins and then just glue it in. But again, whatever.
Why would you want to lose that? Oh,
yeah, exactly. Because it's.
Did you glue it in?
No.
Oh.
It's.
That wasn't as impressive as I was expecting it to be.
I mean, it does move. Well, you get a full. What's that? 10 degrees of motion.
Better than nothing.
But anyway, so let's get back to this. So it's really nicely laid out, really quite simple to get your mind over how to go to kind of jump into it. And then at one point it says, okay, now you're ready to go do this. And then it says, go to your campaign guide and
show your missions.
Just get going. And the campaign guide, as Andy mentioned, really nicely laid out, really well done. This was my first time playing a game like this, and whilst I did have 1 or 2 hiccups in the initial setup,
because it's so big, I think that's
and that was largely kind of my desperation to get stuck into it. But it's done a really good job of kind of teaching me how to play. One thing I will say is maybe play the tutorial with 2 people first, just so that you, as the person that's going to be the Imperial player, can get the kind of head around how all that works.
Okay.
Because obviously the Imperial player needs to be... The nature of this sort of game is the Imperial player is going to get questions of how stuff works.
Yeah.
Make sure that you know how to answer those questions, because otherwise...
Yeah,
it's just going to complicate things further down the line.
Yeah.
Not a huge deal, but just make sure that you do that. But these are fantastic starting points. And the fact that they've got the rules reference in there, which we've used probably every time we've played, just to check 1 or 2 things, really nice little addition. And again, really thorough.
Yeah.
Really well done.
I think, again, like Fantasy Flight have gone all out in the production value, as they always do. The tokens are beautiful, the dice are beautiful, the models are beautiful, the cards are beautiful. There's 2 ways to play the game. It's a big box, but it gives you big joy. Is that a...
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to want to sit and play this, and if you're going to want to if you want to paint these models or whatever, then that box isn't going to be what you use, probably. Just because when you're packing up, the end result is you cram it all in, because there's no other real way.
Sometimes this happens.
Yeah, again, like, whatever. You kind of deal with that. Most people put stuff in, plano boxes.
Yeah, hear a lot about
that. But it's one little disappointment in what is otherwise a fantastic set.
Fantastic experience.
Yeah,
I would say.
And you know, we've had 15 hours into this, and we're talking about doing another campaign, which will be another 15. So
I want to be the Wookiee this time.
Definitely. Good.
Sure. Or the Imperial player.
Imperial's a lot of fun. It's don't underestimate how fun it is to be like, oh yeah, Darth Vader's turning up. What are you going to do about it? Or all of a sudden plonk this down on the table. You know, I quite like having all of the figures in the box, so you don't quite know what might be coming out this turn, and then just be like, boosh! What are you going to do about it?
I can't imagine the fear in our eyes the first time you brought this out. It's like, this guy turns up.
What was great is there was kind of a string of missions where you were terrified that this was going to turn up, and you'd built up this kind of
fear,
kind of fear and almost mythos surrounding ATST. I was like, it's not going to come, and then the one time when it was going to come, I was like, yes. And then it looked like you were going to finish the mission before it appeared. So I was like, oh, come on.
We're doing a shame.
But you didn't, and it came out, and it crushed you. So all worked out.
So I think this is Rolling Dice Show approved.
Very much so. Very much so.
Cool. Well, I think you can probably see more stuff from this in the future. We've got expansions we'd like to talk about in a different video. But yeah, definitely check it out. And
have a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. I know every YouTuber says that, but it really does help our channel grow and more people will see our videos.
And if you really like this video and you want to see more from us, if you go to patreon.com/rollingdiceshow, you can become our patron.
Fade to blue.